students, welcome back to your virtual biology lesson. I remain your virtual biology tutor, Mr. Kehinde Adesina. As a reminder, this video is brought to you by Hiota Virtual Learning. Do well to watch the videos on this platform, think critically along, and jot down the main points of each lesson. In this video, we are going to be looking at the concept of living part 2. The concept of living part 2. And under this concept, we'll be looking at the basic functions of living cells. Basic functions and properties of living cells. Let's have a recap of what we learned in the last lesson. Now, in the last lesson, we talked about living things and non-living things. And we did explain that living things are things that have life. Living things are things that have life, and they can also be called animate objects. And examples of living things include the plants, the animals, and human beings around us. We also said that non-living things are things that do not have life, and also called inanimate objects. Examples include stone, chairs, clothes, tables, wristwatch, and so on. We explained that living things have various characteristics, which include movement, respiration, nutrition, irritability, growth, excretion, reproduction, competition, adaptation, and death or lifespan. We gave different differences between plants and animals. We went further to look at levels of organization. Levels of organization, which include the cell, the tissue, the organ, and the system. We did explain that a living cell, even a single cell, can carry out all life activities, including movement, respiration, nutrition, irritability, reproduction, growth, and all other characteristics of a living thing. However, in this lesson, we will focus on nutrition in living cells. Nutrition in living cells. The overview of this lesson include definition of nutrition, the types of nutrition, including autotrophic and heterotrophic. Then we'll look at photosynthesis as an example of autotrophic nutrition. Then after that, we'll look at experiments on the effect of mineral deficiencies in plants, especially deficiencies in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Later on, we'll look at heterotrophic nutrition, focusing on holozoic nutrition. Then we will go on to look at holozoic nutrition in single-cell organisms, e.g. amoeba. Then lastly, in this lesson, we will look at macro and micro mineral element requirements by living cells. So, by the end of this lesson, you should be able to define autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition, define and explain photosynthesis, identify the signs of mineral deficiencies in plants, explain holozoic nutrition, Describe Holozoic nutrition in amoeba. And lastly, state and explain the functions of micro and macro mineral elements in living organisms. Nutrition is a process whereby living organisms obtain their food, and it is of two different types, which are autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition, auto means self and trophy means feeding. So autotrophic nutrition is a process whereby living things make their own food. This can be found in green plants and certain bacteria. Hetero means others. Therefore, heterotrophic nutrition is depending on others for food. This type can be found in man and other organisms. Now let's look at photosynthesis as an example of autotrophic nutrition. The word photosynthesis can be splitted into two: photo meaning light and synthesize meaning to produce. So photosynthesis is a process whereby green plants manufacture their food from sunlight by combining carbon dioxide and water in the presence of chlorophyll. Therefore, the three materials needed for photosynthesis include water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight, which is being trapped by chlorophyll. The water is gotten from the roots of plants. CO2 enters the plant through the stomata of the leaves, and the chlorophyll, the green pigment in leaves, traps sunlight. The equation for photosynthesis include 6 molecules of carbon dioxide combining with 12 molecules of water to produce 1 molecule of glucose, 6 molecules of oxygen, and 6 molecules of water vapor. So in words, carbon dioxide with water in the presence of sunlight trapped by chlorophyll to produce glucose, oxygen, and water. For plants to grow optimally and perform photosynthesis and other activities, they need mineral nutrients that must be available in adequate proportion. Inadequacies in these mineral nutrients will cause deficiencies in plants. This may cause leaves to turn brown, yellow, or even purple in color, and may cause wilting of plants or improper growth. For example, what do you think has happened to these 4 plants? These 4 plants have nutrient deficiencies, as they have not received enough micronutrients needed for proper growth from the roots of the plant. For example, nitrogen is needed to make proteins, green and stronger leaves, and for proper growth. Plant A has not gotten enough nitrogen, which it should get by absorbing nitrite ion from the soil. This has caused stunted growth, older leaves turning yellow, and sometimes scribbled. Plant B has a magnesium deficiency, causing the leaves to become yellow. This is because magnesium is needed to make chlorophyll, the green pigment that absorbs light in chloroplast. Growth is therefore limited due to less photosynthesis. Let's look at plant C and D. They are both suffering from deficiencies. Can you pause the video and write down the differences between them? Plant C have a potassium deficiency, making the other leaves to turn yellow, but the veins remain green. The plant is also not growing properly. This is because potassium is needed for growth and for the plant's immune system. Plant D has a phosphate deficiency. The other leaves are darker green and some are falling off. The veins may become purple and the plant growth may be stunted. This is because phosphorus is involved in energy transfer so the whole plant won't grow normally, including the roots. This is a summary of nutrient deficiencies for other nutrients in plants like iron, magnesium, and others. You may pause this video to write them down and study them on your own. Let's move further to look at heterotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition is a nutrition in which organisms are not capable of manufacturing their own food, but depends on other organisms like plants and animals for their food. These kind of organisms are called heterotrophs. So they include man and other animals. The types of heterotrophic nutrition include holozoic nutrition, parasitic nutrition, symbiotic nutrition, and saprophytic nutrition. Our business in this lesson, however, is to look at holozoic nutrition. Holozoic nutrition is a nutrition in which living organisms feed on solid and liquid nutrients synthesized by other organisms, which may be plants or animals. Holozoic feeders are divided into 4 categories. We have the herbivores, which are animals that feed on plants only. Then we have the carnivores, which are animals that feed on flesh. They are mostly predators. The third group are the omnivores. These are organisms that feed on both plant and flesh. Then lastly, we have the scavengers, which feeds on animals' tissues. Holozoic nutrition in single-cell animal like amoeba. Amoeba is a single-cell animal that lives in fresh water. It is having an irregular shape with finger-like projections called pseudopodia, which it uses for movement and also to capture food. Amoeba feeds by a process called engulfing. When amoeba come across a food substance, which may be other microorganisms like detritus and bacteria, it extends its pseudopodia and form a pocket around the food substance. When this is done, the food substance gets into the body. Amoeba digests its food with the help of the food vacuole. So in the cytoplasm, the food vacuole releases digestive enzymes which digest the food. The digested food is absorbed by the cell, and the undigested food is being exported out of the body with the help of the contractile vacuole. So the undigested food comes out of the body from the contractile vacuole and through the cell membrane. Lastly, in this video, we will look at macro and micro mineral nutrients required by living organisms. Micronutrients are nutrients that are required in little quantities for normal growth and development of organisms, while macronutrients are nutrients that are needed in large quantities. These nutrients, however, could also be mineral nutrients or non-mineral nutrients. So, in summary, macronutrients needed by plants include nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, and sulfur, while micronutrients include boron, chlorine, copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum, and zinc. Now let's review what we have learned so far by attempting WAEC questions on the concept. WAEC 2020. The process by which plants manufacture their own food is called A. Chemosynthesis, B. Photosynthesis, C. Respiration, and D. Fermentation. I'll give you 5 seconds to think about your answer. The correct option is B. Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is how plants manufacture their food from carbon dioxide and water using energy from sunlight. Option A is wrong because it is a process of producing food from inorganic materials. Option C is also wrong because respiration is a process whereby energy is produced from breakdown of glucose. Option D is also wrong because it is a process in yeast and some other fungi in which glucose is converted to alcohol. This next question, I particularly chose it because it is very tricky. WAEC 1980. The mode of nutrition of a green plant growing in a compost pit is A. Holozoic, B. Parasitic, C. Saprophytic, and D. Holophytic. Think critically about the options and pick your answer. The right option is saprophytic. This is because in a compost pit, saprophytes act on decaying organic matter such as plant residue, food scraps, and other biodegradable materials, thereby decomposing them. This decomposition releases like nitrogen, phosphorus, can be absorbed by the plant root. A is wrong because it is found in animals. Option B is wrong because neither the plant nor the saprophyte is a parasite. Now let's look at a question from WAEC 2019. Which of the following elements is a micronutrient for plants? A. Nitrogen, B. Potassium, C. Zinc, and D. Calcium. Think about your answer. The correct answer is option C, zinc. Zinc is needed in small quantity for proper growth of plants. All other options, nitrogen, potassium, and calcium, are all needed in large quantities, so they are called macronutrients. Next question from WAEC 2020. Deficiency of which mineral causes chlorosis in plants? A. Nitrogen, B. Phosphorus, C. Magnesium, and D. Sulfur. The correct option is C. Magnesium. This is because magnesium is responsible for the synthesis of chlorophyll, which gives the green pigment in plants. So the absence of magnesium causes yellowing of leaves, which is called chlorosis. The deficiency symptoms of nitrogen is stunted growth and weak stem. That of phosphorus is dark green or purple leaves, and for sulfur is thin and weak stem and reduced growth. Lastly, let's look at this question from NECO GCE 2014. Amoeba undergoes Holozoic nutrition by means of a process called A. Filtration, B. Symbiosis, C. Ejection, and D. Engulfing. The correct option is D. Engulfing. Amoeba feeds by extending its pseudopodia around a food to form a pocket around it and swallow the food. This process is called engulfing. Option A is wrong because filtration is not a mode of nutrition. Symbiosis is a feeding relationship between two organisms benefiting from each other, while ejection is the removal of solid, undigested food. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have learned something very tangible today. Do yourself some good by making further research on this concept and also trying to answer related WAEC questions on the concept. I wish you all best of luck till we meet in the next lesson.